October 15th meeting of the Penobscot County Commission. I'll call it to order and call the roll. Commissioner Trumbull. Here. Commissioner Marshall. Here. Mr. Treasurer. Here. And the chair is here. I believe the administrator will be joining us shortly remotely, so he will be with us. At this point, I would ask Mr. Raymond if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this point, we have approval of the minutes for the October 1st meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. At this point, we will open for public comment. We allow people up to 3 minutes to speak on issues that are not on the agenda. I will start first publicly. I believe we have a gentleman that would like to address the council, Mr. Pyle, for the commission. Good day, sir.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Aaron Pyle. I'm here today because I strongly oppose the Penobscot County moving forward with plans to build a new jail, especially without voter approval or full public transparency. Taxpayer money is already being spent to prepare a facility for the community has not agreed on. That's unacceptable. I'm also deeply concerned that Sheriff Morton's decision to discontinue Maine pretrial services program and replace it with a new system created behind closed doors and without any community input. This is a major change that will affect lives and increase incarceration, and yet the public has no voice in the process. We need to ask, how is Sheriff Morton's program different from Maine pretrial services? If fewer people are being released pretrial, won't that increase the jail population and cost the county and taxpayers more money? And most importantly, why is the sheriff making such significant decisions for the whole county without input from the public or oversight from you as the county commissioners? Instead of getting tied to a larger jail, we should be investing in diversion programs that address the root causes of crime, like mental health support, substance use treatment, poverty, and childhood trauma. These programs are not only more humane, they are more effective and more affordable. Building a new jail is a short-sighted and expensive answer to problems that demand long-term community-based solutions. I urge you to slow this process down and give the people of Penobscot County a real voice in these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there others in the audience that wish to make public comment? Yes, sir. If you would be kind enough to introduce yourself and give us your residence.
Absolutely. My name is Luke Sequeira Flanders. I live here right here in Bangor. Yes, do you need anything else from me?
That's fine. That's
All right.
fine.
Thank you for hearing me today. I wrote my testimony as quite a bit longer than the 3 minutes, so I'm going to have to kind of get it down.
I appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Bear with me. My name is Luke Sequeira Flanders. I am a public health community organizer with Needle Point Sanctuary of Maine. We are a harm reduction organization. We operate a syringe service program. We are a naloxone distributor, and we are a peer-led peer support program. Which means that the majority of our staff are people who are in recovery from substance use and mental health struggles, and we draw on that experience to provide the highest quality of care possible and build levels of trust that can be very difficult to establish in a purely clinical setting. The people we work with are often the ones who need these other services that we're discussing, supporting with opioid settlement funds the most, but are least likely to access them due to a variety of barriers, be it mental health issues, be it homelessness, in the context of recovery, I often hear phrases like "you need to want it," meaning that if in order to participate in the recovery program and community, it's a prerequisite that you need to be driven to be sober, to take the big dramatic steps into a life without being dependent on drugs. But what about people who aren't ready to take those steps? What about people who want to improve their life but can't find the motivation or stay grounded in a sense of hope and self-worth to overpower what has become a deeply rooted physical, psychological, and emotional dependency? While I do not have a personal history of substance use disorder, I can draw on my experience as being someone in mental health recovery. I remember what it was like to feel that I had no future And so for me, it didn't matter what I did in the present. I tuned out from my own life. I neglected responsibilities, I neglected my own health, but the only thing that carried me through was the consistent, resilient love of others in my family and community that kept me alive long enough to reach out and finally access those services that I needed. And now I'm not only still here, but I have a strong drive. I know that I'm here to become the man that I'm meant to be. And I only owe that to the patient and resilient love and understanding of my community. So you might be wondering why this is relevant to syringe service programs in Penobscot County. Our work as an SSP is, of course, clinical. We are distributing sterile injection equipment to prevent the spread of diseases like HIV, of which there is currently an outbreak, and other bloodborne illnesses and infections. But it's also heavily relational. We distribute syringes because we know that it will keep people coming back. And with every exchange, we have a precious opportunity to educate people and build relationships and show people kindness that this world has otherwise denied them. This means we have a unique responsibility to our most vulnerable community members, and we do not take this lightly. It's a space where we take great care to show kindness. When I did not love myself enough to get help, it was the love and support of others that kept me alive long enough to get help. Whether we're talking about depression or addiction, we can draw from the well of our experiences as peer support workers to show people the same kindness that kept us alive, and to show them that there is light on the other side of the proverbial tunnel. That's why our peer support model is so important. It's not just about the syringes, it's about the model of relationship building that we're here to provide people with. I realize I may be going over
If we
time.
could conclude, I appreciate
Okay.
the sentiment, but we do.
Absolutely, yes. So I mean, yes, we are a syringe service program that is kind of a core component of the work we do, but we are an amplifier, if you will, of so many of the other services that you would be considering supporting with opioid settlement funds, because we are constantly referring people to, I've driven more times than I can count. I've made the 2-hour drive down to Portland to rehab facilities and, drop people off at other recovery centers around the state. It's that patience. People might come in our door 100 times before they say, hey, I'm ready. I want detox. I want to go to detox. So,
I appreciate what you're saying, but at this point, I am going to
Yes.
ask you to conclude. Thank you for taking the time to come down today.
absolutely.
And just one question, might you be
Yes.
related to somebody that served as my principal at John Bass?
Yes, I would.
Well,
That's my grandfather. He's still
very nice to
puttering
meet you.
about. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Thank you for joining us, okay? Thank you. Any others in the public? Yes, Mr. Raymond,
Thank you.
if you would be kind enough to introduce yourself.
I will. My name's John Raymond. I'm the president of the Northern Timber Cruisers of Millinocket, also Public Affairs Director for ATV Maine. I'm here today for an application for the Northern Timber Cruisers, but mostly I want to also give you an update on what you guys have actually invested in our area and what it's doing for our area.
We would be happy to take those comments when we get to it on the agenda here.
Okay.
This is for those who are not yet on the agenda.
Okay.
But I appreciate
No
your
problem.
being here. Anyone else in the audience that has a public comment? Seeing none, we will now go to the online. I believe we have a couple of individuals that are with us.
Yes, Janet Drew.
Yeah, we had determined who the individual is on the phone.
Scott.
Okay. So at this point, Janet Drew, if you would be kind enough to share your comments.
Hi, Janet Drew, York, Maine. I appreciated the first and second speakers. The first one said everything I want to say so eloquently. Why invest in punishment instead of alternatives? I'm going to leave that question at that. I ask it on a lot of meetings, and you don't ever seem to give us an answer. We say these things that the public hasn't heard about this project. The public hasn't, you're spending money that the public hasn't agreed to, and yet you don't answer us and you keep going. So I would add what the second speaker said, that HIV is huge. Are we trying to the healthy population, or are we trying to let people get sicker? Because needle exchange is safety. And if you don't approve any money for Needle Point Sanctuary for needles, maybe you will for transportation. I don't know. I also noted that he talked about love, and you don't get love in a jail, but it does take love and support to get past the self-hate that comes with trauma and addiction. And jails are not the place to get love. Unfortunately, our healthcare system has no way of support for people without health insurance. And I would hope that your opioid settlement money might change some of that and also protect people from HIV. You don't need violence, debasing, generational trauma and poverty that comes with jail. Even if people are get right out, they still don't get any help. They're just poorer than they were when they went in. The last thing I'd say is I recently read a book. I can't remember the name of it. It's the sequel to a book called A Street Cat Named Bob, which was about a man's struggle with addiction in the UK. And he acknowledged all of the problems with dealing with people who are struggling and they're lying and they are looking for what they're going to do next. That doesn't mean you give up on them. And it doesn't mean every option needs to be considered, not just jail.
Thank you.
I'll appreciate feedback.
Well, this is public comment. We do not engage in dialogue during public comment. Do we have others that are online that you?
Not that has asked to speak.
Okay, at this point, if there are no other comments, I will close public comment. I would like to make an observation that the process involved in building a new correctional facility will have public votes, both on moving from the current location in Bangor, the county seat, to an alternate location, and it will have a vote on the ultimate bid package. So the citizens will be involved in that process. Other than that, I don't know if my colleagues have anything else. Okay. Thank you. At this point, we would call the UT director forward for his presentation. And any associated guests that you would like to bring with you.
We'll bring a bunch of people.
Dennis trailing little ducks.
Some familiar faces.
You've already met John Raymond. You know Dee, so I'll let Dee take it away. Once Dee finishes, John, we'd like to hear what you have to say. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for putting me on the agenda today. So I am here today on behalf of the TIP committee to present an application for the Northern Timber Cruisers. They're requesting $75,415 to purchase a new Hitachi mini excavator to help maintain the culverts and ditching along the trails. There's 28 miles of trails total that they maintain. The committee reviewed the application. The actual trails that fall within the unorganized territories is about 60%. In many conversations that we've had over the past few months with you and as we've had meetings, we're trying to preserve and strategically deploy the remaining funds as the amount gets smaller and smaller every year it's coming in, and how we make it most beneficial to those residents. So the committee discussed both not funding 100%, because we also determined that we would like these organizations and municipalities asking to bring some money to the table. Also, this is the fourth request from the same group, the Northern Timber Cruisers. We have funded the Schoodic Bridge project, a trail groomer, and the Ben Campbell Bridge project, all but $10,000 that was donated from Polaris. in an effort to align with the use of funds, the committee decided that they would support 60% of the request. So 60% of the 75,000 is 45,250. The committee also discussed setting the expectation of future funds being less so that we can preserve and do more with the funds. Also, one of the conversations that we've had in depth was asking these groups to set aside an escrow account to begin preparing for future repairs and expenses and replacement of the needed equipment as they go, and with the evidence of this being presented in financial statements yearly to the director so that he can see what's going on. So the committee also wanted to note they feel a lot that they are the first stop for a lot of these groups that are coming for funding. And while we want to support and be helpful, we need to remain vigilant in regards to how we deploy these funds in the future. So there needs to be other groups, other participant funds coming into the equation, not just the TIF funds being the only source of funding. So it was a very in-depth conversation, but want to support. We know that it's important. These trails bring a lot of people to the northern part of the state. That the recreation up there helps drive the economy, and it's very, very important. However, trying to find that equal balance of how to best use the funds and support these groups. So.
Thank you for the work. Just for general knowledge, we have had some pretty in-depth discussions with the TIF committee over the last year because the original document had certain limitations which were revised at some point that I'm still not sure when that took place. But it is clear that the funds have a shelf life, and
yes,
we want to make this as appropriate as possible. And based upon some uses in the past, it's come to our attention that we should be more directly related to UT and how we do this. I think this does not in any way reflect on the applicants.
Absolutely.
It reflects on a policy change that we feel is prudent, and certainly hope that anyone who is applying may get that information up front. I don't know, George, if perhaps we could create a cover letter for the TIF applications that outlines this.
We're currently working on that.
I'm working on that right now, yes.
Super. That would be great. Mr. Raymond, if you have any comments you'd like to share, we'd be happy to hear you.
Thank you. Yes, as you know, in the past several years, the snow cover has been little to none. Our club, the last 2 years, we've only groomed 3 weeks out of the winter. And so ATVing is turning into something that we're having a longer season and more people are buying them. Just in my neighborhood, 3 houses have sold on my end of my street. 1 somebody from New Hampshire, 2 from people from Lewiston, and they're all ATV snowmobile people. I've got a picture of across the street from the other day. It was like 7 ATVs on this lawn. So it's bringing them into the area. Our first year open with the new trail that you guys invested in to help us with the bridge. That was a 9-year project for me. 9 years to get the permission, get the LUPC permit and everything. And we opened it on Labor Day last year, and 5,400 people went across that bridge from then to the end of the season, which wasn't a long amount of time. We are going to be doing a bridge dedication of Ben Campo Bridge shortly, and we're going to invite you guys to be there because of the investment we made in that bridge, which was crucial at the time. And if whoever can attend, we'd like to see that. We're in the presence of a signage program right now that we're doing. I've been, as she mentioned, grants. I go after quite a few of them. I've got a $10,000 grant for signage, and we're doing something with signs at No Other Trail down on right now. I'm going to Da Vinci Signs today to pick up the signs. We've already put the signposts in. We are in the process. It's 12 by 18. Like a regular no parking sign, aluminum, but it has the mile marker on it, it has the trail usage on it, It has a GPS board on it, so if somebody gets hurt in the area, they need life flight or something like that, it's there. And it also has QR codes on it, so if you want to donate, or you want to get a membership, or a map, you can get that all from that sign. So we're in the process of getting that done. The posts are all in, signs coming right off. The whole part of this, and being able to get this trail connection through, because we were the donut hole, the Katahdin area was, between most of the trails going up towards Fort Kent, and Bolton, and Patton, and Sherman, all the way down to Cutler. You couldn't get, interstate kind of breaks us up. So this trail that we connected, that took us 9 years, is now the connection to get to the Greenville area and stuff. That's why we're starting to get the traffic, and it's highly used. And I couldn't move on to my next project, which is, we want to use that land that they got from the mills, the landfill. So a lot of people think that landfill is just the landfill, but no, they got more than the 200 acres of the landfill. They got 3,669 acres, which is state-owned, so we don't have to buy it. So we want to turn it into a multi-use park and leave the landfill area the way it is, but between Millinocket and East Millinocket, very well located. Our trail will go by it, so we get access to it. We couldn't do anything without having access to it. And then by turning into an ATV park, both the budding landowners are very pro ATV and snowmobiling. So we think we can also get some easements or something to expand on it, because we were looking to do something similar to the Jericho Park in New Hampshire, which is very successful. That's about 6,500 acres. So we live in the shadow of Katahdin, Baxter State Park. We have the Woods and Water, they call it Monument, which I believe will be a national park soon, and a multi-use recreational park, which can all survive in a small area and do well for the Katahdin area. So that's been kind of my big picture for this. And your investment in what we're doing has helped us dramatically. Without your investment, the Van Campbell Bridge wouldn't have been fruition. And now that's allowed. Before they couldn't, the humans had to turn around at the bridge because they couldn't go across it. Now they can. And a lot has happened, and like I said, the bridge going to East, it was weird. When we went to West Savoy, there were 17 bridges I had to build, and I didn't have an issue with Lurk. Going East Millinocket, I had one bridge to build, and it was in the 100-year flood plan, which I didn't know at the time. And it took me 2 years to get it straightened out, and we had to come up with $200,000 to show the funding we had to do it. And the good part about it was it come in under budget, and we saved some money there, but we got that in, and it's being used, and people like it, and it's a reflection of what you guys have actually invested in our area to help with the economic driver. And because since the mill's closed, it's not a lot going on there, and people are moving. My son just moved back from Texas. So there's a lot of movement coming in the area, and because of the motorized recreation, so thank you.
Good, well, thank you for being here. In the soon-to-be dedicated Ben Campbell Bridge that you referred to, that plugged the donut hole. Can you share with us the amount of trails now that connects, that people can travel throughout the Northeast?
So the connection through the area now allows you to get to the Greenville section over there. And then now coming east, you can go all the way to Fort Kent or all the way down to Cutler on ATV trails and snowmobile. Because there's more snowmobile trails in the state than there are ATVs. There's about 13,000 snow miles and a little over 5,500 ATV miles. So it's getting bigger all the time. And we're trying to get a connection up to the Millinocket Lake, which would open up. One of the issues we have is once you grow like that, your infrastructure is not there. There's not a lot of places to eat in the Katahdin area. So up in the you got NEOC, Nice Edge, 5 Lakes, not 5 Lakes, but Golden Road and Big Moose, so that's 4 more places to eat, and that's what people are doing, they're traveling, they're stopping at campgrounds, and they're looking for food, they're looking for fuel, and they're looking for views, and we've got a lot of the views right in the Katahdin area.
So that actually, Bridge, opens up that entire economic industry through the Dobie area.
Oh,
And with that, we can anticipate a lot of economic development, and then coupled with this park that you've mentioned,
right.
that is really,
That would bring them in, and the other good part about getting this trail to East Woonsocket was, we got off from Dobie Forge for crossing the water. They don't, you know, in the wintertime, the MSA is trying to get away from more water, lake, pond crossings, because we know as the winters have been, the ice hasn't been real safe either. So you gotta run a groomer across it, it's not safe, people going across it, and the weather changes so quick. And, you know, and it's, I feel bad for Southern Maine, because a lot of these clubs, these groomers, some of them are over $300,000, and you gotta pay for them, and when they're not grooming any weeks at all, it's making it difficult. So we're in an issue, within 4 or 5, maybe 10 years at most, gonna be a lot of changes in the industry, because I'm one of the youngest in the club, and there's no young people coming in the bottom, and we've got to do something to try to entice these young people to come in, because without volunteers, this whole system will crumble, so.
Thanks, I'll get a couple, but we've got a tight agenda, so I'm going to get a couple quick questions in. One, first, thanks for all you've done. I think we're supportive of this request. Can you fill the gap in the funding of the $30,000? And just a question on the funding, I know when people register snowmobiles, the town gets some of that money, and they usually give it to support the local club. What ATV registrations, where does that money go?
That ATV registration goes to MSA registration, the snowmobile registration in the state, they get money, some money out of the general fund.
Right.
ATV is all supported by their registration.
Okay, it does stay in there.
Right.
All right, thanks. I would move we approve this recommendation.
I have a motion to approve the request for $45,250 as approved by the TIF committee.
I don't know, but I think I'll second that one.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Can I just clarify for
Sure.
John? That's, you offered to put 25% down from the club,
Right.
and the TIF committee and the review showed that because 60% of the trails was on UT
Right.
land, we've done this with other clubs,
Okay.
that we use that as our deciding factor, so that we're within our bounds of our TIF. So you would now have to come up with 40% instead of 25%.
Well,
$30,000.
either way, we gotta go to the credit union, we gotta get a loan, and they've never turned us down, so.
I just wanted to clarify also, one thing we've added that we've never done in the past is for the next 3 years, we'd like to see your finances, some kind of an annual, here's where we're at. And what we're looking for, John, is that you're saving some of this money for yourselves, so that you're not always coming to us as the bank. So you're starting to save towards the future for replacements.
And we've also applied to the Main Trail bond for $250,000.
Yeah. And this is going to be a policy going forward, so please
Sure.
convey to the members that we appreciate what they're doing. This is not in any way concerned about how
We
you
understand
operate. This is just, it's like going to the bank for your loan, or the credit union. They ask you for financials, and we're going to, as a grant writer, ask for the same thing from you.
So the way we looked at it, we were looking at purchasing a used one, which we would have had to spend about $30,000 to get anything that was any decent. So we're investing $30,000, we're getting a new one, and we looked at all the models, and the reason we picked out the Hitachi is because it's got a 7-year warranty, and then when you're in a small club, the warranty is an important thing, because that equipment, when it breaks down, it's expensive to fix.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everything you've done, you know?
Yeah,
We can
and-
come up with money.
And it goes to just clarifying things that we perhaps needed to do for a while. So You're our test case. We appreciate your understanding.
And we'll keep you updated, what we're doing.
Okay, super. Thank you. With that, any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the request?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Thank you for being here again today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you do up there. We were in Millinocket, as you may know, about a week ago, and it is clear to us that there are a lot of good people up there that are trying to make things happen. Personally, I feel that tourism and forestry are still foundation issues for the area, so this ties in well with that.
It is, and I can't say enough that the support you guys have given us, without it, we wouldn't be as successful as we are.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you, John.
And we'll be contacting you for the dedication when we get a solid date on
I
that.
appreciate that.
Hopefully soon before it gets too cold.
Yeah.
Thank you, John, appreciate it.
All right.
See you again.
Thank you.
Tina will send you up some paperwork.
Okay.
Thank you, Dee.
yeah, Great.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for your
appreciate
time.
your help. Next item up you have is the Town of Chester Salt Sand Shed. Salt Sand Shed rental agreement, discussion and vote.
Well, back in, I forget the date, 2010, Chester built a brand new salt sand shed, and we helped them pay for it. We paid, because 17% of the sand in that shed is ours, we paid 17% for 15 years, actually.
That would be the UT that helped.
The UT paid 17% to the town of Chester for the use of the building to help them build the building. Now that that has been paid back, the initial loan for the salt shed has been paid back, we've now gone to a rental agreement. So we're renting space from them, utilizing their shed. Saves us a lot of money not having to have another shed. We also work with them. The guy that plows their roads plows the Madamasconas Road for us. So it's a joint venture, if you will. And they also help us with animal control. So their animal control officer helps us in Madamasconas. So it's been a great working relationship. Tina and I went out and met with them a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And it has been great, it really has. And we thanked them for all they do for us. And they were willing to lower the cost of that lease now that the building's been paid for. So the rental now is basically $3 a yard, which is fair.
Okay.
I would move approval of the agreement.
Second?
Second? So we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement for rental for the Town of Chester Salt Sand Shed. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous of those present. Next would be PILT fund request for the Millinocket Fire Department, a Mule 2 leader wheel at $1,879.
I'm out on a limb here. We've worked well with the town of Millinocket lately with fire and ambulance. They got a new chief up there as of a couple of years ago, and he's really trying to move things into the future. They had a call on a trail back in the woods they couldn't get an ATV into. So they had to have crews come in from all around to help them lug somebody out of these trails. So at that point, he was wondering if we could assist him in purchasing this one-wheeled piece of equipment that goes underneath a gurney, so you can wheel somebody out of the trail and not use as many people. You didn't need as much help lugging a person out of the trail because of this. I didn't want to see us for $1,800 and what have you. I didn't want to see us go through the full-blown TIF application. So I thought, I'll make the request, if it's possible, that we could assist these people, the town of Millinocket, the fire department of Millinocket, the ambulance service, with the purchase of this piece of equipment, which will fold up and it fits right into compartments on the ambulance.
What's the total cost of the equipment?
$2,179. They're willing to put $300 towards it.
Okay. I just want to voice
I
my...
might caution
Yes.
that this is the first request or something like this, but we have several ambulance services that serve in these remote areas, so this may wind up being
a pathway on which we will tread.
another group may ask for another one sometime in the future.
So I'd like a little more time. My personal feeling after meeting with folks in the area that there's some encouraging discussions going on. We've invested significantly in that area, and we want to support what they are doing to support the UT. So at this point, I would ask if we might table this until further discussion.
But I would just say till the next meeting. I would support till the next meeting because we've got time to punch today. I'd support cabling till the next meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion to table. That is not debatable, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you, George.
And the last note, real quickly, we finished Monday afternoon, we finished this year's paving project, 3.5 miles of road in front of us. So it came out great, went well. People up there certainly appreciate having the road smoothed up. So now I'm getting calls that the cars are going too fast.
All right, well, we're doing fine. Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you, Tina.
At this point, the Registry of Deeds. Susan, good day.
Hello. I apologize for not getting this information out to you in your packet.
Thank you, Susan.
Again, for you. So I'm here this morning to let you know that there is a Property Records Industry Association Winter Symposium in February of '26 at Virginia Beach, Virginia. I propose to go to that. And I travel typically with the Register of Deeds from Hancock County. She has already made plane reservations and hotel reservations for that symposium. And what I passed out to you is the invoice for my portion for that. I propose to pay for this out of this year's budget, and then the registration for the actual convention, which includes meals, would be in next year's budget. And I have to say, I have been to 2 of these symposiums, and they're very, very helpful for me. They deal with topics like electronic recording, electronic signatures, the flat fees that we've gone to, we learned about there. I would expect that I haven't seen an agenda yet for February. I would expect that there would be sessions on property fraud, cybersecurity, those types of things, which are very timely for the industry as a whole. So I would hope that you gentlemen would approve paying this invoice out of my budget.
Just a question, so you must have a line in your budget for travel and
I do.
convention, so I'm just curious why why it's coming to us.
It's out-of-state travel.
Oh, any other state have travel?
That's what I assume, so.
In the past, was it actual policy or just a practice? Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Administrator, can you answer whether that is a policy or a practice?
I believe that is a policy, Commissioner.
Okay, thanks. I would move we approve this
Have a
request.
motion?
Second?
Have a second? I think at this point, we are very grateful for your willingness to do this, and if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous.
Thank you very
Susan,
much.
just want to congratulate you on the work that you've done in transitioning us to a modern system here. I know in your tenure, you want to get that completed, and we certainly, I want to take a moment to just recognize your efforts and extend my appreciation to all you've done.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you
enjoy
very
it.
much. Appreciate it.
Susan, don't you still have some deeds in your office that were written on like trees or something?
We do have pieces of wood that were recorded. We're the only registry of pieces of wood that has a boundary line dispute between some old timber families, and that's.
So look how far you brought from pieces of wood.
Now we're saving you. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. At this point, I believe we have a guest substituting in for the EMA director.
Yes, I am not Chris Fox, but I am for this purpose.
Okay,
In your packet, Director Fox has drafted a memo. At your previous meeting, you sold one of his older vehicles, and he would like permission to put the sale of that Interceptor, as well as reimbursement for his deployment to North Carolina, his mileage reimbursement into his escrow account for vehicles.
okay. So we're looking at the EMA vehicle that we sold to
Corona, yes.
Fire Department. And his escrow, or his,
Expensive.
thank you. So,
I get the first part, I need some more explanation, the second part.
So
What
during
was
the
it?
disaster, FEMA asked for volunteer EMA personnel to deploy to North Carolina.
Mhm.
We agreed to allow him to do that. He received a reimbursement, so that money comes
Okay,
back.
so
We took
this is a
a
reimbursement.
county vehicle down there.
Right, so this is a
This
reimbursement.
is the reimbursement.
Okay,
Okay, have a motion to approve this.
second,
Okay. We have a motion, and I have a second. So, at this point, if there's no further questions or discussion on permission to deposit these funds, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, it's unanimous.
I'm sure he appreciates it.
I'm sure he does. We appreciate you subbing in so well. Probate, it's your day in the sun. It's that long anticipated, exciting time to look at the budget. How are you today?
Hi, thanks. How are you?
It's just another great day here in the state of Maine,
It
Yeah,
is.
so this budget up.
Winter is approaching.
unfortunately, but hey, that happens every year.
Guys.
Okay.
Department 11?
At this point, we're going to look at the Department 11 2026 budget presentation for probate. Take it away, Hillary.
All right, so if you look at the revenues, we just made one change. We added a line item for, we actually went with the same revenue projected generating from 25 to 275, but we kind of broke it up as 235 for regular revenue and then a $40,000 line. This is just so that we can track some expenses.
So we get reimbursed by the client or the plaintiff or the
Petitioner.
petitioner.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes. So I just would like to keep a closer eye to make sure that costs are being covered there.
Reasonable.
I don't know if you want,
I think we can, most of the things, if the commission is comfortable, we'll probably take this under advisement as we have everything else. But if you want to look at the items that are highlighted and provide any content you feel is necessary, that'd be great.
okay. So one of the changes that I did make was for computer programming. Instead, this particular section has always been $1,000. Our contract for ICON, which is our computer system for the probate courts, is a lot higher than that, so it's never fully been budgeted there. It's actually that those funds will come out of surcharge. I'm just kind of splitting it a little more half and half just because I don't want the county to become dependent on the surcharge revenue, or not even really revenue there, but funds that are set aside because at any point they could be gone. So I don't want the county to be dependent on those, so I just kind of split it up a little bit more evenly amongst both of those for that. The court-appointed officers, we did increase that by 10,000. I will say, probably this year on the budget, we're gonna be a little over the budgeted amount from last year. We're seeing a lot more court-appointed attorneys, but then I'll kind of talk about that a little bit in the LD 1766 that's coming out, and that hopefully maybe, we'll see how that goes, we'll change that, but until 2029, it's our responsibility for the court-appointed attorneys, or, fees there if the petitioners are unable to pay visitor fees, or things along those lines too. That comes out of that budget.
Okay. Can we just go back for one moment? You've got the regular part-time payroll, 25 hours a week, half funded by surcharges. That looks like there's a slight increase there.
I think that's probably the COLA, but Scott, probably the administrator, can speak to that, maybe?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was just standard across the COLAs for everyone.
Thank you. Next page, you've got a couple items, advertising. Looks like you've created a new line there as well.
So that's the 40,000 from the revenue on the first, that's the line that we created there, to kind of offset that. I just want to touch base real quick to go back to the court-appointed officers too. We are starting to, at the end of any court proceeding, the final thing, the judge has the ability to put on his order that once the respondent has the fees to reimburse those court-appointed attorneys, then we are able to collect some at that point, but we don't want to be, banking on that. We're going to be collecting all of that money back, but we do have that ability, so we are starting to track that and do it as far as like a payment plan too, to kind of get that back also.
You exceeded, it exceeded the budget by about $6,800 last year, and I'm assuming the 10,000 is to anticipate a continuation of that trend and to fall within the parameters of the.
Right, and then now with implementing getting, some of those funds back, hopefully we won't have to increase it. It will kind of, postage, just normal postage went up to 74 cents envelope this year, so that's just a regular increase. We increased our office supplies. I don't believe that's been done for a couple of years, and with paper and all of that. I am very conscientious about our office supplies, and I will look and see, for sales in regards to paper, purchase a couple more if they're on sale, opposed to having to pay full price. So I am keeping a closer eye on that. Our reference material has increased. It had been canceled prior to me coming on, so it took me a while to renegotiate with them to get the fees back down a little bit. But again, they're not where we want them to be, but we have to have the books so that everyone's on the same page.
Well, it's very encouraging what you've done to stay close with the challenges we're facing this year with the budget, so thank you for your work on that. At this point, are there any other questions?
Will we take it under advisement?
Yep. So I have a motion to take this under advisement. Actually, we don't need a motion for it to take it under advisement. Great, thank you. Next item up you have is the legislative plan. I will say, just out of respect for the timing, if you've got maybe a summary today, and if this does pass Leg Council, which I assume is the next step, we may want to get into more depth on it at that point. And I think if your association president wishes to have someone come on the board meeting or LPC calls for Maine County Commissioners, we would welcome a discussion on this. We'll likely have a call in early December, getting prepared for session. Jim Cohen is our lobbyist, and he will certainly be willing to take this up. I don't know is it Kathy Williams?
No, but you just took her name. It's Kathy, but I can't think of her last name now, Catherine. Yeah, and I can reach out to her.
Thank you.
As far as that, because we're having a MARC meeting the 1st of December too, here actually in Bangor, so.
Super.
Yeah, I mean, I can just give you a little quick
Give us the highlights.
synopsis. The LD 1766 MARC does think it's going to pass. We kind of hope it doesn't. To an
Just to
extent.
clarify, when you say pass, is it currently a bill that was introduced last session, or it is?
Yes, and it was passed on,
Carry on.
correct, yes. And they've been trying to get it passed for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years at least. And that would be stating our judge would go under the Supreme Judicial Court. There would be a chief judge, and then we would have 8 regions. So the regions would be actually a little different. We would be Region 5, and it would consist of Penobscot and Piscataquis. So they would be kind of combining regions.
Would it be similar to the DA regions?
Yeah, I think they probably, if I look at it more, yes. It could be a good and a bad thing, I think personally. I think the hardest part is, right now, is a judge. Our judge, as you guys know, is part-time. He has a private practice law firm. And what they're trying to do with passing this would be to say that the judge would be full-time opposed to part-time, and that way they would not be able to practice on their own.
Would they be appointed or still elected?
So they'd be appointed. Yeah, so.
What if it takes a constitutional?
I would think so.
Oh, yeah, that's my thought. That would necessitate a change in the Constitution.
Right, yeah. So, and it's not supposed to happen until, I mean, they're looking 27, but I think their projection now was 29. Our only saving grace is if this would pass would be at 29, then all of the court-appointed attorneys would be reimbursed through the Maine Commission of Public Defense Services. So that could help a little bit county-wise as far as funds. But as far as the other,
This only addresses the judge, it does not address the registrar.
correct. Yep. And we would actually still be having court.
And it would not affect any of the judge's staff because that's your staff.
Correct, yes.
All right, well, to be determined.
Yes.
Thank you for the update on that, though.
Thank you.
All right, have a wonderful day. At this point, we are delighted to call forward the surrogate for the sheriff, who I believe is present. No? Okay. At this point then, I would welcome the HR director if she wishes to give us an update, or we really don't have anything that we are going to table this issue.
Yes, could you please table? I have not heard back from Risk Pool Insurance, and so I'm not quite ready yet.
Entertain a motion to table item I. Yep. Have a motion and a second. Well, tabling doesn't have any discussion, so at this point, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Mr. Adkins, I believe you have a brief position in the agenda today. Did you have anything you wanted to share?
Can you kind of trying to manipulate the phone here? What's the item under me?
It says administrative report, Administrator Adkins.
That's all.
I think the only thing that you might want to report on is the budget workshop we have planned.
Yep, that was one of the, just to remind you that we have that planned. I don't know if Brian's in the room. Director McDonald. So a little bit of an update on the HVAC finishing down on Franklin Street is, it continues the trend of more money, more money, more money. I think his quote is like, it's like 110,000. This is the piece though that we had set aside the $79,000 energy grant for. So there may be some funds, again, as I've alluded to earlier, we may have to pull back on a few things with regards to the building HVAC money set aside for that project if we need to spend more down on Franklin.
Okay. So you're saying we potentially have almost $80,000 that is reserved for that project, but the cost is going to be higher than what was anticipated.
That's correct. It's around 30 to 40,000 looks like what the difference might be in the end. You know how these projects work out. So hopefully it stays within those parameters, and we'll do everything we can. But we'll be reporting as it goes.
Okay. And do you want to give us a weather report, or would that just be?
I'm inside because it's 80 right now. I think it's like 82 or 83. It's been hitting 86, 87 all week. Even though earlier reported was like 83. It's been hot. But just to kind of let you know, it's been rough. The pool has been cold, very cold, because they stopped heating it and the nights are cold. So I have had to suffer. I had to suffer through a Niners loss to the Bucks, and only one round of golf. So life is not really to its full potential at this point.
We'll anticipate your batteries will be somewhat recharged when you rejoin us.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Anything further?
I'm good.
Okay. At this point, we do have the warrants. I would entertain a motion on approval of the warrants.
I move we approve the warrants under item K.
Second.
Yes. Okay. Have a motion and a second on the items as presented in the warrant. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Mr. McDonald, you've joined us. How delightful. Anything you wanted to share with us beyond the fact that it's going to cost more for the HVAC than what we thought it was on Franklin Street? You missed.
Scott spoke to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can.
Any other good news on upstairs or?
Well, I do have a quote
Okay.
for furniture for upstairs.
Okay.
And much like the HVAC down on Franklin Street, it's not very good news, but we went, so there are two different quotes. For the space that was your chambers, the furniture will be $64,000, it's $64,062.27.
Is that replacing all of the furniture that's currently in use by some of those occupants?
Yes, yes. And where they're moving out of, if you go into their current entrance and go to the left where Christine Higgins' office is, they'd like to replace those cubicles in that area as well. And that would be a price of $19,889.
So I mean, they're gonna enlarge those.
Yes, they're gonna be, they're basically the same desks in format as what's going in the larger room.
So is that quote, do they say that what they'd like to have, their wish list, is that what they need to have? I mean, what's it, can they get tired with less to get started? I mean, maybe we can do it over a couple of years? We obviously need a desk and a chair, but they got those already. I mean, what are we spending money on?
Well, the people that are moving over there, it's basically, many of them don't have desks. Many of them are using tables, and since I've been here, they'll take hand-me-downs from everybody. So there was a wooden table that's in my office. 2 people are using that as a desk.
So this is all the modular pieces? The
correct,
and stuff.
yeah. And the 19,000, it's just under 20,000 in that area, that could probably wait,
Right.
because there are desks there now. They're not ideal, but they're functioning cubicles. I think the larger room, if we're gonna do it, I think we should do it right. That's what it comes down to, is.
Well, I understand that, I mean, they probably want all the file cabinets. Is there any part of that can be put off, and we spend 40 and then 20 next year?
I can talk with Chelsea and Christine about that.
We don't have any of that in the budget, do we?
I don't believe, we've got nothing in the budget.
No.
Did we allocate, we didn't allocate any of the ARPA funds towards this either, did we? Okay. So this
And
is-
so I believe the work is coming out of the Department 32 escrow.
And your team's been willing to do some of that work that has,
We're doing what we can when we can. We're busy at other places. It's not the bottom of the list, but it's not the top. You know, obviously, every morning we come in, it's like an emergency room.
Yeah, they're
First come
triage.
is not first served, right? And
Well, we got 10 weeks left in the year. This is probably gonna be next year's budget, isn't it?
I would suspect that, to do that time-wise and otherwise, we'd probably be looking at putting this in somebody's budget for next year.
well, I would like to think that we're still demoing the room right now. We're gonna get some help and pick up the pace a little bit. I would like to think we would be putting it back together by the end of the year, and we would be ready. I couldn't promise them they would be in that space by the end of the year, but I'd like to think it's possible.
Based on this conversation, we can promise them they won't be in there. And that's not to be, cavalier about it, but that's a big whack. If they can help us in finding some economies of savings within that, because we're talking overall close to $90,000 if we add both components to that in.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this one, that the secondary office space, I think that one can certainly be
Here's
put
another
aside.
magic question, does that include assembly or
Yes,
this?
it does.
Okay, this isn't IKEA, so.
Correct, they're gonna show up with it, and they're gonna install it, and so with regards to the old commissioner space, my hope is we have the room ready, they show up, and in a day or two, it is operational for the DA's people.
As I recollect, there was a misunderstanding on the administrative office where the price for the materials and the assembly were not added together. So didn't your crew end up assembling the space where HR and the administrative on the first floor are?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was, I don't think it was a miscommunication, it was just thought that it would be, that was only basically 2 walls. This is probably a little bit more than, I think this would be worth, installation's expensive, but I think it would be worth it. If we're doing this, I think it would be well for us to pay
Having
for
it be
that.
done twice.
Well, it would be done in a matter of a day or two versus a week or better or two from us, so.
Well, I just want to clarify that because that is a big bite. So at this point, I think we want to ask the DA's team to take a look at this a little closer. And if they would like to come before us and share some more details on a future document, but bear in mind that we're looking at next year's budget to absorb most of this, so. Scott, do you have any comments or observations on this?
Yeah, I think it warrants a review. I mean, I haven't reviewed these documents yet. The listing of items, I think it's important that it's compared to at some level as to what we spent and renovated, built in the HR and admin offices. I was a little concerned that this might, even though this is at the state price bid, it does, rather than accept it, I think we should take a look and a possibility of having other companies come in and give a quote. Just because it's a state price bid doesn't mean that it is the best bid, in my opinion, but.
Understood. Okay, well, to be determined. I guess also my question is, if we're repositioning people that are currently in space in this building, that doesn't guarantee there's not going to be some anticipated changes requested for other personnel, right?
I mean, yeah, that could always happen, things moving around. But again, I think, rather than, we've heard it firsthand this morning, it's a large sum of money. I think it warrants a second review. And if the DA's office can't be convinced that we need to go a different direction, then I guess it does come back to the commission. But that would be my recommendation.
Okay, I think that's wise. Comments?
Yeah, I'd like to ask something else. I'd like to ask you, what's the status of the EMA office improvements?
We have gone down there several times we have all the supplies, we're ready to go. We've gone down a couple of times to get started and things have happened that have have delayed it, but we're ready to get going on that. It's just trying to find the time to do it. We're
That's
still,
for your staff, you mean?
correct, we're gonna, we
It's
have.
somewhere in that pile of things to do.
Correct, and again, it's not at the bottom of the list, but it's not at the top either, and it's.
Doesn't help anybody who's at the bottom of that list.
Well, they're, yeah. It's like my ex-wife, you don't have to remind me every 6 months to get that done, so. It is on the list, and it was thought of originally as a good winter project, but, you know, then come winter time, we'll be out cleaning snow as well, so, but we will get it done. I think it's a good savings. It was, the price to paint that was just under $6,000, and we'll do it ourselves, so. Yeah, I know you've mentioned in the past, you know, why are we contracting all this out? So this is an attempt to.
Something we do in an afternoon.
Well, and I agree, it's just, unfortunately, we can't jump on things as quickly as we would like because other things pop up.
Oh, we'll get some commissioners to volunteer.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask what was decided about the Franklin Street? Because we need to get that done before we can start construction.
What was our decision on Franklin Street? Didn't we award that bid to Benchmark?
Yes, that's already been approved. I wanted to make you aware of the change in price this morning, or the larger than expected repair costs. And unless there's any objections, I say we have to move forward with it. It's holding up the rest of the renovations, correct, Brian?
Yes, I mean, it would, the ductwork and everything needs to go in before the walls, so we're not cutting walls to put in, new walls to put in ductwork.
We need to proceed.
We have some flexibility. Just wanted to let you know that, that the status of the situation and the solutions that I have with the options at the end, that somewhere along the line here, there's going to be a couple of projects, may not, but make sure that they're not those that should be at the top of the list. They'll be bottom projects.
So just for me, for my clarity, this is part of the reserved ARPA funds that are for projects on the capital infrastructure?
Yeah, more of in the 1 million for the jail and building capital projects. That's correct. Not the capital request. That was much more specific.
Yeah.
The flexibility was in the, yeah.
Okay. So this is money that we have allocated. It's not directly in the budget, but it is.
Yes. It may require some Department 32 or 301, Brian's large building maintenance escrow account. We may have to dip into that a little bit. And we talked about that at last meeting. And we're really just trying to avoid doing that.
Okay. Well, we beat that horse for a while.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess, Scott, from our standpoint, it might be helpful to have a spreadsheet that lists some of these projects, what the actual amount is and what we had maybe anticipated it coming from, especially where we're in the budget and are going to have to absorb some of these considerations for next year.
Yep, if you recall that, I had mentioned that last meeting, and had intended to, when I returned to work with Brian, on establishing that, kind of giving you at least a monthly, if not a meeting update, every meeting update, at least once.
The finance director and I have talked about that as well, as putting everything in a spreadsheet with Scott.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you both. Okay. Sheriff, we're so delighted that you are able to bring your team to share the good news.
It's good news.
I'm encouraged.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Hello, gentlemen. Chief.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with, the first one I think you had on your list, Department 13. Civil.
13. Civil.
So we'll get right to the chase, and then we can go back through this. Oh, my word.
We want to give you the appropriate time, but we also need to be out of here by 12:30 for the court.
We are going to be so lightning fast on this.
Nice.
Can you sign this document first? That should be fast?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The civil budget at the end looks like,
Your revenues are,
Town force.
which one are you looking at first, revenues?
well, you're looking at revenues being slightly down.
Yeah.
Civil.
So a couple things is, that's, has to do with the paper services that are coming in, and while the fees actually went up, the amount of papers that we're having served have gone down. So we're pretty fortunate that there was the statute change last year that allowed the fees to go up. We have recognized a couple areas that we do need to make some tweaks. What happens is, and it's particularly when it comes to evictions, that our civil service people, when they're going to help in an eviction, they're sometimes being tied up for an hour or two, sometimes longer, at an eviction, helping landlords go through that process. Law enforcement, as you know, normally will not step into that role. When we tie up a civil deputy for 1 to 2 hours, waiting for locks to be changed and things to be done, we're losing time that they can serve papers. And so there are many other counties that are charging a $50 fee for the time that you're sitting there waiting for this process to happen.
It's a one-time fee or
Yes.
hourly?
Yep, one-time fee if you're required to sit there and wait. And another couple small things, we have expedited services that we have in place, and like all good users of the system, some of them are playing the game a little bit to get away from not having to pay the expedited services when it comes to court dates. We figured out how they're playing that game, and we're just gonna send out a note so we can't keep doing it this way. So they're trying to beat the system in a way so they don't have to pay expedited service. The challenge for us on expedited services is I'll have servers out in the field, right? Could be up in LaGrange, one could be in Corinth, the other one could be here in Bangor. An expedited service may come in, which means we've got to kind of go, we've got a timeline, we've got to go get this done. If we're driving somebody all the way in from LaGrange to come get a paper that needs to now go back out to Stetson, we're losing that time. Again, we're losing all the time serving papers. So we're purchasing right now, we haven't had this small purchase, but it makes sense. Technology will allow us to put printers in those cars, so our clerical specialists can email those out and take care of them.
So you consider using the drone to deliver that?
You're right, that might be a thing. And then the other part is, as you know, we have less part-timers than we had in the past. We're gonna try to make a couple alterations throughout the summer, we're not losing servers, so that we're not losing attempts to serve papers,
You
so
meant alteration, not altercation, right?
adjustments. The budget for, overall budget increase was 5.70. It's, while it sounds like it's higher than 5.70, this is the smallest budget we have, as you know, in civil. I'll just really cruise through this quickly. There was a small increase, the civil division was the only one not using our website or paying anything to the website or the mobile app. So we just put a little bit of money in there to have them help pay for that. The rest of it, you can see we flat funded essentially everything else. The one areas at the end that you'll see there's a small increase is really around vehicles and public safety equipment, which has to do with the equipment that we assign to the deputies that are out in the field on civil, and then the cars. So we've kind of broke our cycle a couple of years ago. It kind of hurt us, I think, when we took on that electronic car. When we did that, we got out of a rotation of purchasing, and then and at the same time, you'll remember we put on the third full-time person, so it kind of messed up our car rotation. We bought one this year, we're gonna need one next year, and I think this small increase in here will allow us to put some into the capital, and so that we don't have to go out and put full cars every year for the next couple of years. We'll get back in rotation, but it's gonna take us a couple of years to do that.
Thank you.
That's all I have on civil.
Okay,
Unless you have any
take
other
that
questions.
under advisement. Okay. Next up would be the sheriff's, number 12.
You want to go right straight to revenues. You'll see revenues are really, really good. It looks like it's down just a little bit. The revenue being down just a little bit is really, we're actually up. But it looks down in here because last year we had anticipated the extra full-time person that was going to go between Milford and Greenbush. The voters up there voted that down. Greenbush stayed on, as you know, in the part-time capacity, but we don't count that as a revenue, as that's simply a pass-through for Greenbush. So we're actually down in the expected revenue from last year on that, but we also don't have that person in place either. So if you had that.
Net savings is actually greater when you take out benefits.
Absolutely, yeah. So our revenues look really, really good, and I think that was, you made some adjustments to those towns. Again, you heard during our town meeting that we had with the commission, how effective those were for paying for nearly 19 of our deputies coming through those contracts. We appreciate that.
What's the first line about it? Is that like extra duty stuff?
There are some court fees in revenues, there are some court fees, there are some report fees. The other is when we're getting payback from the courts.
What's private detail following?
We don't, so that's, we do very, very few. Most of them are schools and stuff, they're just pass-throughs.
Okay.
So there's not really a revenue. We do almost zero that are true private details. Most of the details that we do are school dances and things like that as a pass-through. All of those supplemental contract towns, the 12 that we have, those are just pass-throughs, so they're not counted as revenue. Although that comes in and pays for the actual cost. That's why it's put on as a pass-through.
You have a stipend and page 3, I believe.
Yep, we adjusted the stipends. As you know, we've struggled the last couple of years with making sure that there was pay for on-duty supervisors. We've not had that except for our detectives and command staff have never ever received on-duty stipends for calls. And they're on call once a month for an entire week. And we were trying to be fair when we looked at the detectives. They're only on call for 3 and maybe 4 days. And so this is to help compensate for the on-call for our command staff. As you folks know, we deal with a lot of serious situations. We're a major county, and the response, the truth is, all of the command staff nearly every day are on call. And there are many times more than one command staff person responding to these. This is a small adjustment to help us take care of that. Some of the other ones are contractual in that because they're all lumped into, that's how we take care of reconstruction and things like that. Okay. Moving on down the line, we made an adjustment you'll see in computer services that has to do with power time, which is the scheduling part of Power DMS. There was an increase in that. There was a decrease in drug testing. That really, kudos a little bit to the DA's office. So they've changed some of their procedural things on how we have to test drugs before a case even goes to arraignment. And so now they've adjusted that. We've seen it, what the adjustments made before we made a change. Now we realize we can actually save some money. Down further, down under utilities in the phones, we had to have an increase there. We worked with IT. I suspect that this is going to go away in a couple of years. This was the body-worn cameras and in-car cameras system being able to have its own cell phone number rather than going through the cell phone itself. We experienced a bunch of problems when we were trying to run through everything through a phone. What IT is telling me is they continue to upgrade our computers, the MDTs in the cars, that those new systems will come with some of this capability. They're the ones that majority of what we have in our cars today do not have that. So they have to put another SIM card in there. You'll have to ask somebody else why it works or how it works. But this is, that's something that IT doesn't pay for. We pay for that service. And again, I think in a couple of years, it might go away from that. One of the things that we talked about is you folks have done a nice job with us, helping us over the past decade and making sure that we have specialty equipment when it comes to the Faro scanner for reconstruction, the major crime scenes, drones, body scanner, stuff like that in the jail. What we have to make sure is that we keep the maintenance programs in place. So you'll see here, we've made a couple adjustments in these to make sure that licensing and maintenance of those capital things stay in place. That's why there's one under software licensing. That was for the Faro scanner. Under office expenses, you'll see dues and fees. The chief has been working with Derek and on Main Week, which is the certification, the chief's actually on the board that goes around and certifies municipal police departments. It's really on their policies and whatnot. The counties are now coming on board with this, and one of the reasons we didn't initially is Derigo and Maine Leap did this for the communities, for municipalities, because Maine Municipal paid for it. The main risk pool, something Commissioner we ought to talk about in the future, is the risk pool for the counties should be paying this. We want all counties to be certified through their policies. We're way ahead of the ballgame because we have all the model policies in place. So we think this is going to be a quick turn on for us. It's really going to kind of stamp our policies. The other part is we already have Power DMS, and you have to have a system in place that will allow that. We already have that. So this will allow us to get our policies certified through the Maine Leap certification. A small adjustment in polygraphs doesn't affect us a ton, but we are hiring some part-time law enforcement now before they go to their full-time certifications. As you know, we polygraph every employee, clerical, cook, correction patrol, doesn't matter. There is a requirement for part-time law enforcement to make sure that they have those done. We made a small adjustment there. Clothing and uniforms, we had small deductions in that. Again, this was part of the capital programs that you folks have done. We feel comfortable that we're not cutting ourselves so that it's going to hurt us, but we were able to make a small adjustment in uniforms. One of the greatest things in the uniforms, so you know, is that's where our vests are coming from too, so it's not just shirts and jackets and hats and things.
That's very nice. Officers too.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. It's not a sensitive subject, let's just move on.
Okay.
Yes, sir, they are nice, extremely nice. And the deputies love them. Motor vehicles, probably one of the most substantial cuts to this budget, which has really changed how this happened. This I want you to recognize, and I think Dan probably been the longest serving, even though I'm not commissioner at the time, will remember as the treasurer. We've had a very long-standing relationship with being able to manage our fleet really, really well. We can tell by mileage in a long history. We have 30 years of history or so of our vehicles watching mileages, knowing that contract towns will get us this much mileage, a northern deputy this much mileage. We feel really comfortable in this adjustment. This is not going to put us in a situation where next year I got to come back and ask for 14 or something like that, make it worse. We know that we go through that period that we'll need 3 or 4 years of 10. We are very comfortable. We were able to drop this to 8. We feel this is comfortable. And also in that price, so you'll know, is the only thing that we did different maybe 20 years ago is when we were buying our lights separate, because we're buying lights in cars now, we added it into the vehicle line, which kind of makes sense. We may have a vendor up here do it this year because it looks like there's going to be some cost savings, so this may actually be a little bit better. But as projected, we know that the out-of-state company has set that same price on those cars that you folks are already approved. So we were able to cut 2 cars there.
So it's eight cars?
Yes. Yep. And we feel pretty comfortable, to be honest with this. I think that will not put us in a situation I have to come back next year. We know it will be about 2 years or 3 years before we have to go back to 9 or 10, and then it will run for a couple of years and then it drops. It's the way to go. Public safety, a couple adjustments there. Some of that is body worn cameras. Some of it is a new signage in the contract for our tasers. We're going to opt back 1 year on our tasers, which is going to give us the best option to get out of these so that we're not just stuck with tasers that are not covered by Axon. They say it's not a lease program, but it's essentially buying a lease program. The reason I do support this concept, I'll never have to come before you and try to look at $200,000, a $100,000 project to start it, like we initially had to do with the body worn, right? It takes a lot of money to start a cost. Doing it through this process, it's almost like your cell phone. They're gonna time out, life out after so many years, and we'll have to have new equipment. This is stretched out over a 5-year contract, the first year being the cheapest, and then increases from that. And then the officer buyout, we made a small adjustment in that. So our program, as you know, we built hiring part-time people. We had 2 full-time positions this year come open. Guess what we did? We moved 2 part-time people right into that. Didn't have to go to officer buyout. We still feel like there might be a day. Which this was wood, I'd knock on it. We're at full staff right now. We do have 1 employee that's left again on military leave. This will be the 3rd year for military leave. The deputy that was hired for the Milford Greenbush position, knowing that we didn't have that position, we actually just moved that deputy into the military position, knowing that that's another entire year of leave. And so we're not gonna add that into our budget. It's a wash because that other deputy's not here.
Refresh my memory, we didn't freeze any positions in patrol, just in jail, right?
Yep. That's it. That's all we have for the jail budget. The patrol budget, and you'll see that the budget was really good. It's less than 2%. 1.78% increase. I don't think you'll see many budgets for the size of the department we have be able to fit.
Well, we appreciate your understanding of the complications that the next budget is creating for this year, your willingness to make some thoughtful adjustments.
Yeah, even still, I think this Department 9, the corrections budget is better than probably some would anticipate. And I'm going to continue to echo this because I don't think there's enough emphasis on what the county has done. The utilization of taking care of some of the capital needs have made this possible in both of these other budgets. They did the same thing here in corrections. If we don't take care of our own needs, and some of those funds that you utilize to take care of capital projects went other places, it would come back to property tax players to have to pay for this. It's not I want this stuff, it's a need. And so you've actually helped us over the last couple of years take care of some of those needs. We were able to back that out of our budgets. And so the cost is back to the taxpayer.
But we still are putting the appropriate anticipated reserves in for these.
Absolutely right. Yep, we're just able to. Our problem is, Commissioner, we were buying it and not having anything else on the book to help us next time. And so this is helping us a little bit. Super quick on this one, most of it's contractual. It looks like some movement in payroll on this one on a couple things. One was the OT stipend, which is a smaller amount because there's less command staff and the collection side. The new positions, so I want to be clear on this. So we added some new positions for main pretrial, but you'll see later in our budget that entire item was canceled. It's pretty clear, it's pretty close to a wash that we see right now. We did leave a little bit of money, about $10,000 in main pretrial line. And what I need that for is on the shelf, electronic monitoring, any other costs that we're not 100% sure because we're just starting this program. As a matter of fact, we were fortunate, 2 of our staff members were able to go out to California to a training. Securus, Motorola took care of that entire process for us. Or Securus took care of that entire process for us so that they could go out there and learn this equipment and the process. They gave us a lot of really great ideas on how to run this program and it works out. So those new positions up there, essentially, you'll see that it's later that's submitted.
Even though that was out-of-state travel, was paid for by somebody else.
Absolutely. Inmate board is probably the biggest one that always becomes a bone of contention.
Just for those who are following along, we're looking at jail 9, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure.
And
we're on
3,100.
We're on 40, 3,100 boarding of inmates. Just as I stepped foot in here today, I just saw the numbers come out from MDOC showing where all county jails are, and I'm glad we clarified this, Commissioner, when I was with you last week, and I had brought it up to all the commissioners before we had the meeting with the municipalities. I was concerned that MDOC's numbers come out and show that Penobscot in the facility, are meeting our state rating capacity, which means we're flirting, it's 157, so we're running 150, 165. They understand that, right? You're gonna have the ups and highs.
Because not all of those people will remain long-term. Some of them belong to the state corrections system.
Absolutely. What I wanted to make sure that everybody still realizes is that there are another 60 to 70 boarded out. On that MDOC list, those inmates are being accredited to the facility that they're in.
Instead of the county.
Right. And so what they're doing this is only for a population trend and not for the financial formula on how we get our revenues. That was my concern.
We covered that in the jail.
And the state, and DOC is accepted,
they have clarified that for us.
Right.
I just surmise, though, that when this report goes out amongst people, somebody's gonna look at that and say, wow, Penobscot actually looks really, really good, that you're only ups and tides about 10 or 15 people around your state capacity, and so you should be okay. Just be mindful And that doesn't include board, it doesn't include pretrial people, those numbers.
And that's an average of 65
Yeah, so right now.
and $100.
We feel very comfortable. This is pre and post-COVID. We have a long-term history now. We were trending around 70 or so. We are trending 65 right on the nose. The difference, as you know, July 1st of this year, they went to $100 a day per facility.
Do
So
you see any trend to go up?
I think because it
Next
just
year?
happened, it could happen again next year. We're at the mercy of them. These are MOUs, not contracts.
$6,500 a day.
The only thing that they're signing an MOU for us or contractors is to secure the amount of beds, not the cost.
There's also a question related to some of the medical costs that you may want to.
Yeah, so we did enter into an agreement and push back on them that if an individual is down at Two Bridges or Somerset County Jail and they're being warded out, we're paying $100 a day. Their day-to-day medications, some of them are $5, $10, aspirin, $7, or whatever it is, those costs, they should be taking that cost. We're paying them $100 a day, which, should be encompassing all your correctional needs, which includes medicine. We agreed that if you're on a specialty med, which is a little bit more rare, that's over $100, or if the individual has to go to the hospital, which is, that happens, that we will still pay those bills, and we understand that continues to happen.
Do the jail's boarding people receive any state or federal funds related to medical costs?
No.
They do not.
No, none of the facilities. The only one that, similar to us, they may get some for MAT, but we don't, none of these places get money for medical. Speaking of medical, 40, 45, you'll see, it looks like a fairly substantial raise in that, but also remember that down, you'll see a substantial decrease down at the bottom. Last year, as you know, we did a 6-month extension, went out to bid, we had 3 or 4 companies. We finally made a decision. One thing that we asked them to do, we were the only facility still paying for the meds separately. And sometimes that can put you at conflict with a medical provider. Sally and her organization have served us very well, and they take on those medical costs, medications for her other facilities. So they wrote that into the contract here. So in 4045, that is your medical contract that you have with Sally's team, which includes nurses, doctor in the facility. It also now includes the medication except for MAT medication.
So it's an offset at 120, so it's except for the net of 400,000.
Right.
It's increased to 400,000.
And in that increase, Commissioner, also the other bills are what we may receive if somebody goes to Eastern Maine. That's outside of what Maine Care doesn't take care. It's not a ton, but we have a substantial amount. The other one is dentistry. That's coming out of that. We have some significant bills of dentistry that come out of that.
That doesn't include the back medications?
No. That medication's very expensive.
Yeah, right.
Moving down further, we looked at a few of the maintenance things, made a few projections there based on a long history of what was happening and what we were doing, where we see ourselves. The one thing that we did want to outline was the body scanner maintenance program. When you folks bought that through the capital projects, it came with a immediate maintenance program, but that program ran out after 2 years. And so
extended.
We were making the decision, and the county administrator, I don't know if he's still on, and I made a command decision on the 11th hour that we were going to go ahead and do it. And then we did it, and 2 weeks later, the machine broke, and it was a $2,000 or $3,000 repair. So it made sense that we have that in place.
Is there a life expectancy on those units?
I believe they told us 20 years.
What is it?
That body scanner, isn't it 20 years?
Yeah, as long as it's maintained properly.
How long those annual, those maintenance contracts, are they annual?
Yes.
It's yearly.
Yeah, it's yearly. It's an annual contract, and they're off often. They service us really well. I was a little worried out of state company. When something happens, we have a technician here in no time. The machine's almost
Flying out of Texas.
Yeah, they treat us very well.
So it's like a PM, it's scheduled.
They come right, they
Yeah.
come. Pretty impressive, actually.
One last question on that, Sheriff. Are we, in the future budgets, looking at some reserves to build up for what we're anticipating?
We have not on a body scan specifically.
Something that we probably want to look at, maybe not this year, but.
Right, I suspect that when we have our new facility in place, that whether it's through design or whatnot, I actually like this machine better than some of the ones I've seen in some of the other newer areas. This one does temperature, this one does pictures, this one's a lot smaller, so it's a space thing. Anyway, moving along. Polygraphs, a small increase there. We're one of a very, very small group that continues to polygraph everybody. I'm going to continue to do that. I think it's important to the integrity of the office. You'll see, as Commissioner Trumbull brought up, 5330, there's a reduction, a significant reduction there. That was the medicine that we've done. We put a little money in there, pretrial incidentals. That is to help us just in case we're not sure what happens with the things that we need for pretrial, particularly electronic monitoring. Inmate uniforms, a small increase there. And folks, I'll be honest with you, and I think it needs to be done. Believe it or not, these are undergarments. There's a lot of people that come into this facility that are not clothed appropriately, and I don't think it's our position to fight with people walking out the door over undergarments. So we tend to turn over a lot there, so that's why there's an increase there. It's a cost of doing this business.
So that's overall clothing budget.
And that's inmate clothing and not officers. Obviously the officer one there's no adjustment. And then a small adjustment down in public safety, 7360. As you can imagine, I partnered the contracts, which has allowed us to save some money with Axon, so we have the tasers both in patrol and corrections. We have a minimal amount of those in corrections through our supervisors, and it's proved to be very effective because they're not used very often, which is really important.
How many is that? How many?
I don't know the breakdown, I believe it's 50-10. It's 60 total, I can tell you that. So it's about 50-10. That's all I have on the expenditures. You can see I was very pleased with the process of going through the budget. It looked like it was less than 4%, 3.80% increase, which is pretty substantial.
Unfortunately, still not everything we can.
You might not have all the answers, Steve. I mean, the driver behind the tax increase we're gonna see is the jail budget and the lack of funding for the children. So you had a modest increase this year, which percentage-wise is almost 600,000. But what is the actual, I'm just trying to find the number for the jail cap, and what's not funded? And I mean, it's more than 595, it must be, what's the number that we're not getting funded for this year?
That I would have to refer to the county administrator
Right, that's
on.
what I was, oh, there he is.
He's
What's
probably.
we got the treasurer, what's the number?
Under revenues, it looks like the revenue deficit got put into the county cap. Is that correct, Scott? Yeah.
So if
look on
we
the
look
first
at
page.
Department 9,
Yeah.
I think
Look
at
on
the
the
top,
first page.
you'll see the revenue deficit is currently showing at $3,413,000.
No, I'm just talking about this year, I'm not talking about forever, I'm talking about this year.
This year was 3.4.
Yeah,
No.
3 million.
No, that's historical, I believe.
What was the increase that you're asking this year?
I wanna know what the gap is for this year, I wanna know the gap for every year, since we've had a gap in the budget. Not a cumulative, not, and we've gotta be.
As of June, it was like 840-some thousand.
Not for 2025, not 2026.
You want to see how?
This is
the
26, but I need a breakdown by year.
Yeah.
So part of the challenge is going to be, we don't know some of the, I mean, we can estimate some of the costs going into next year's budget, i.e. you have empirical data that shows you your forwarding costs and
Well,
transport.
no, we've got a budget for next year right here. This is our cost for next year right here.
The end of June, it was 800.
That's what we are asking to budget, but that doesn't guarantee that that's what it will be.
Right, but that's all we can do is budget.
Right.
That's all we can do.
Really, what the issue continues to be is not the budget, it's the revenue side of it. It's
Right.
that we're immediately starting off with an approved budget, while one line might be off, whether you spent more overtime, but you spent less in part-time, at the end, your bottom dollar for your budget.
Maybe Scott knows what I'm asking. Scott, do you understand what I'm asking? I want to know the deficit, not the deficit, but the difference for this year and for last year, the year before, not accumulative, but for each year.
Right. Yeah, I can provide that in the past. The trouble with this is going to be, though, it's like anything with jail funding. So let's say, I think it was 2 years ago, we had a statutory change in our cap. But by that time that it developed, it was over almost $3 million in adjustments in order to hit the cap. So you see what I'm saying is that if you do that and compare it to the cap, that the gap, the funding gap, well, it's there. All you had to do was assess the communities at that time, that $2.2 million, which we chose not to do. And then it just kicked the can down the road to where we are today. I can give you some sort of analysis, and then we can, and I'll try to do it in a couple different ways to show you. I believe I know what you're looking for, but I just wanted to let you know that.
We just got the 21 audit, and that was a deficit that year. So each, and 22 is gonna have one, every year's gonna have one, but it's cumulative. What is it for each year?
Oh,
You know? What's next year showing? What's the 2026 budget showing?
Zero.
It can't show zero. We don't have the.
That's what this tells me.
It is currently, because at
The
this,
discussion for the budget workshop, where Scott's able to get.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that workshop, yeah.
Yep.
We're not getting the answer today.
Because we're gonna confuse each other if we're bouncing around without having something in front of us.
yeah,
So,
it's me to talk through the phone, so, yeah.
in respect to what the sheriff and his team need to do and what we need to do, are there any other questions related to the jail budget? And then we'll also look at the jail cap.
Aside from the cap, we are comfortable with looking at the revenues that are put on here from MDOC and the small amounts from the others that we get, the medical copay and social security and stuff like that. But the cap is the question that I think, that's a question for you folks, is how do we fix the last couple of years? And I think to
You can't do anything about that.
Commissioner Trumbull's point is to try to address what's the difference this year. The budget that we presented before you today, we feel comfortable. We know that there's some cuts, if not cuts. It's stayed pretty firm for what it is. 2/3, as you know, are contractual agreements and personnel. So in the other areas, I think we did a nice job trying to maintain this. I do feel like we've done it also so that we don't put ourselves, and Scott and I have gone through this once together already, that put ourselves in a situation where we do feel like we've cut this so much that we're gonna blow past medical, boarding. I feel like those are real numbers, so that we're not blowing past, and nor are we asking for money that we don't need.
Yeah, we don't want to cover the flush. Yeah, 600,000 increase, 400,000 is the medical contract, and 200,000 is the difference in boarding, so there's other expenses in there too, but that's the majority increase.
Even take into account, your 3.5%, is it 3% or 3.5% COLA?
COLA. Right, so that's a very reasonable.
60%. You've done good work. It's a difficult situation, obviously.
I understand that the final question is really the cap, and I think that's the decision of you folks and what you're gonna hear back from the towns and how they wanna manage that. But as you hear every year that I bring this budget forward is, I want folks, we have to understand that we're starting off the year in the hole immediately. I can't go back in the middle of the year and try to find, hundreds of thousands of dollars if we're not gonna try to generate it. I hope that during this election process, not to get political on this, but there's an opportunity, no matter what side of the party we're looking at, to speak to these governors or potential governors and talk about taking care of county funding. We can't keep doing what we're doing, go back to the state every year and beg MDOC to help pay for this, but nor should it be solely on the taxpayer.
Well, we are initiating at the association level discussions about a report to both the legislature and something that could be conveyed to candidates for the 2026 year to show what the impact is on the property taxpayer of some of these choices that Augusta has made. We know that 24.4 million is all we're going to get this year, unless they give us a supplement. And based upon how ugly it was last year, we're not holding
But the other problem I think that is endemic here that we need to address, and a lot of people have brought this up, we're gonna change our fiscal year. We can't continue on a calendar year with the state that can't give us continuity in how they're gonna provide funding. We've got to align with their calendar, their fiscal year, so.
I agree. Is there any homework that you would like us to do? I think we hit the spots that you would, looking line by line, that you might have questions or the committee may have questions. But I think you'll see the notes to the sides of those will help you refresh your memories as to what they are. But if there's any homework you need us to do, let us know. I appreciate Scott's time last week. Scott and I got together, and I really appreciate our staff time. We spent 2 weeks, one by one.
I think the only observation I have is more for the Church Association to consider aggregating some numbers. I don't think I shared my email with you that I sent to my board, but creating a report that shows what the impacts are of overtime to house people at a healthcare facility where you have to have staff, and transportation costs related to this, so that we can start to help elected officials understand what the costs of not making good decisions are doing to our.
I think if you look at that data report that came through today, even though some of those you're not able to see the Board of Health numbers, there are 2 counties on there that have never ever been over, historically not over. They're way over. Time has changed, so Aroostook County is full, Androscoggin County full, Androscoggin far worse than we were years ago. Washington County now, who used to be a great help to us, that used to take 10 or 15 inmates at a low rate. We helped them with transportation stuff. Those facilities are now full. Franklin County, Oxford County, smaller facilities, they're full. And so it makes it basically challenging. Just to move on, Mary Ann, did a nice job. There was one thing on the agenda about a forfeiture, asked us to accept a forfeiture. Is that what we're doing? Yes. Accepting a forfeiture of $219, and that's on G299668 Sheriff's Forfeiture. This includes cash and a firearm. As you know, all firearms that we see from forfeiture, we put through. We destroy all of them. But we would ask that you both accept the $219 to go into our forfeiture.
I don't want to hear it. So, entertain a motion regarding the forfeiture request.
Move approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the forfeiture request. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous to those.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you. And we have taken both of those up for us. And at this point, I don't believe we have anything else on our agenda other than an executive session. It is 10 of 12. I think we'll have the time to handle that here in this chamber without popping up against the requirements. So we would entertain a motion to go into executive session on a personnel matter.
So moved.
Have a motion, have a second. That would include the treasurer, the commissioners, the HR director, and the administrator.
Administrator still with us?
Did we just lose the administrator?
No, I've got him, I gotta take everybody else out.
Okay, great. All right, take a quick break here.
Right.
And I can't see it from the other side.
Beginning. I gotta do September. That's what 800,000. Yeah, I done one for next year too, because we